Welcome back to the Average Pro Sports Podcast. I'm Dom, here with Jay, and today we're joined by someone whose name carries weight in the clubhouses across the league.
Over 13 years in the big leagues, a two-time All-Star, one of the most versatile and dependable players of his era, and a true pro in every sense. He just recently announced his retirement, and we are grateful to have a chance to sit down with him today.
Today, we're honored to welcome Josh Harrison to the podcast. How you doing, Josh?
I'm good. How y'all doing?
Great. Take us back to your early days. When did you know you were going to make it to the league, and who helped you get there?
Oh, early days. When did I know? I think I always knew, to be honest. I had two older brothers that played football, basketball, and baseball. We all grew up playing. But my mom's brother, John T-Bone Shelby, played 11 years, coached for 40, 2 World Series rings. So baseball's always been in our family. But you let it be told. I mean, it's always what I kind of wanted to do, even though I played 3 sports. So I kind of knew at a young age.
What sports did you play?
Football, basketball, and baseball. Both my older brothers were, playing those sports. So me being the youngest of 3, I was, pretty much trying to do pretty much everything they were.
Yeah.
What was it like making your MLB debut with the Pirates in 2011?
No, it was fun, man. I can still remember it vividly. I know some people say they don't really remember, but I can remember. I mean, it's kind of hard to remember your debut being against a knuckleballer. So
Yeah.
I think that's going to be one where I have a little different story to tell from most people. So it's going to be vivid to remember because, not many people face knuckleballers. But I can remember it was cool because right out the gate, I was hitting second. And I remember Jose Tabata had led off the game with a double. And right away, my first at bat in the big leagues is a situational at bat where I got to get the guy to third base with, less than 2 outs to give us a chance to, score this run in the top of the first. But it's not just an average pitcher. I'm facing a knuckleballer, something I never faced in the minor league, something I never faced in my life.
Yeah.
So you can imagine, trying to say, oh, I got to hit behind the runner, get the guy over to third, but at the same time, let alone make contact. And I think I with 2 strikes, I had a pretty good at bat. I ended up hitting a ground ball to shortstop, but Tabata did a good job of, it being kind of up the middle of getting the third. So my first at bat in the big leagues was productive. And then I remember my second at bat, I swung first pitch, base hit through the 6 hole, got my first knock. And then I think in like the 7th or the 8th inning, my 4th at bat, I had the game tying RBI off of R.A. Dickey. It was a knuckleball again. I hit it, through the 4 hole, end up getting to second base. But as I said, I can remember my first game because I had a lot of action from the get-go.
How's it like getting your first career hit?
To be honest, it was cool. As I said, mine was different, so I think I earned mine. Not that most people didn't, but I got thrown to face a knuckleballer. So to say that I got my first hit off a knuckleball was pretty cool. Little ground ball through the 6 hole.
What's it like to face knuckleball? Not
easy. Although my first couple times against him, it might have looked easy. But honestly, I was literally just swinging. As I said, never faced a knuckleball in pro ball, in minor leagues, and I get to the big leagues and I face him in my debut, and then a week later they come to Pittsburgh and I got to face him again. And It's like, oh, dang. But I got 2 hits that game too. And I remember I got some teammates like, man, what are you doing to hit this knuckleball? Like, we can't hit it. And I said, honestly, I'm just swinging. When I see it up, I'm just swinging. And it's not like I'm trying to hit a home run or this or that, but like, it's dancing. So I'm like, if I see it up, I'm just swinging.
What was it like going through the minor leagues?
My road was a little different. It wasn't that long, but it was in a lot of different stops because I was drafted in 2008 by the Cubs, and I remember going to Boise, Idaho, and I'm there playing short season. I played 30 games, and I get called up to low A to go to play my first low A game in Dayton, which is 45 minutes from Cincinnati. I'm like, oh man, it's my mom's birthday. She just got a hip replacement, so she couldn't make it. But I remember being with the Cubs. I played my first, minor league season after I was drafted, which was like maybe 60 games. Played well, and I come into spring training the next year. First spring training, go through spring training, go to low A, I'm playing well, make the All-Star team, get called up to high A. And then I think July 31st, I was traded to the Pittsburgh Pirates. I was in Daytona, Florida, about to leading off playing left field. 30 minutes before the game, they came and grabbed me out the locker room, pulled me in the office. And I can remember they said, we got good news for you, bad news for us. Can you guess? And I was like, I'm going to Double A. And they said, no, you just got traded to the Pirates. Thanks for everything. Somebody will be calling you to contact you to, let you know where you got to go. Thanks for everything. Good luck in the future. And I'm like, dang, I only been here 1 year. Now I'm traded to another team, which, as I said, was a blessing because I'm going somewhere that wants me. But at the same time, I was just learning everybody with the Cubs. Now I got to learn, a complete different organization, new team, new staff. And I was traded there in 2009, July of 2009. So I go to spring training 2010, play Double A. I had a great year. And played in the fall league. 2011 was when I made my debut in May. So my minor league experience was pretty short, but at the same time, it was in a lot of different places because I was traded within my first year. So I experienced like maybe 6 different minor league places in 2 years, just from single A all the way through triple A.
Going back to your debut with the Pirates, I got the list of all the people who started. Do you think you can name them all?
So I told you Jose Tabata started, right? He was leading off.
Left field.
I was hitting second, playing third, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kutch was hitting third, playing center.
Yep.
Oh, this is where it gets tricky. Just tell me the position who hit fourth.
Second base, I think.
That was Neil Walker then.
Yep. First base.
First base. Would that had been Lyle Overbay?
Yep.
Okay.
Right field.
Right field. This was my debut. We faced R.A. Dickey. So that means Tabata was in left. Right field. I don't think it was Xavier Paul, was it?
No.
All right. Because Xavier played the next day. Let me think. Kutch was in center. Tabata was in left. Garrett Jones?
Yep. Oh my.
Yeah.
Shortstop?
Clint Bormas?
No.
No?
No.
Not that day?
Nope.
Then let me think back. 2011. Pedro Siriaco?
Nope.
No? Hold on. That one threw me. Hold on. If it wasn't Clint, if it wasn't Borman in 11. Hold on. You got me on this one. It wasn't Brandon Wood, was it?
No.
Because I know Wood came in for me in the 7th inning to play third. You're going to have to come back to me on that. Go to the next position.
All right. Catcher.
Was it Ryan Dummett? Chris Snyder?
Nope.
No? Dang, hold on. Hold on. Let me think back. Wow. Jason Jaramillo?
No.
Dang. Somebody I should know?
Maybe.
It wasn't Rob Barajas because I think Rod came in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't Rob Barajas, was it?
No.
Man, you're going to have to tell me.
Dusty Brown.
You know what? Dusty Brown. I forget because Dusty came up with me. We both got called up together, but Dusty had big league time. I forgot. I think Ryan Dummett or whatever got hurt. Dusty Brown. And then who started the game?
Mm-hmm.
Man, I don't think it was Kevin Correa.
No.
Was it Paul Mahone?
No.
And it wasn't Zach Duke.
Nope.
Man. You're going to have to tell me.
James McDonald.
J-Mac. How did I not know my debut was started by my boy J-Mac? Because I wasn't in big league camp that year. So when I got called up on my debut, I didn't know anybody. The only person I knew was Dusty Brown because we got called up from AAA. Everybody that you mentioned, I didn't know Tabata personally. I didn't know Kutch personally. I didn't know Lau. All those guys I didn't know. I just went to big league spring training games. So that's why I was like, dang, even James McDonald, I didn't know him because he was traded over the year before. but he was in the big league. So like all those dudes, I literally met the day before. So that's what, dang, I was trying to piece it. Dang, I did not know my boy J-Mac started that game.
You think you could get the shortstop?
Let me think on that. I got to think for a second because I went through all my options. It wasn't Clint Barmas. Wasn't Ronnie Cedeno.
Yep.
Yeah, Ronnie Cedeno, yeah. Barmy came in 2012. I forgot. Ronnie Cedeno.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to think back on that one. I was like, hold on. Ronnie was still there.
That's impressive.
So you've played for several teams. Which stop meant the most to you, and how did you adapt to the different clubhouses along the way?
Oh man, which stop meant the most? Ooh, that's a good question. Man, they all hold different pieces, like in my heart. But I'm gonna say Pittsburgh. I spent the most time there. And two, one, you spend the most time there. That's where most things happen, meaning like lifelong friendships. Kutch, Pedro Alvarez, my boy J Mac, Neil Walker, just to name Jordy Mercer, just to name a few. These are guys that still talk to. Our wives still talk. So I would say there because a lot of happened. We were able to break the 20-year losing streak, go to the playoffs, had my All-Star games there. So I would say definitely there. But being able to go to different clubhouses, they all had their own different vibe. Because every city is different, every fan base is different. But at the same time, it was cool to experience each one for what it was, being different. Because as I said, I've played and got to play for 6 different organizations at the major league level, and all of them were different in some aspect to where, as you say, it made each one their own.
Which fan base was your favorite?
Man, that one is gonna be hard for me to choose because everywhere I went, like the fan base, like they liked me because I played hard. But it's kind of hard to go against Pittsburgh just because one, as I said, I spent so much time there, and like they were the ones that kind of first drew a liking to me because that's where a lot of my things happened when I first came up. But I had just as much support when I played for the Nationals. Going out to Oakland, being in White Sox, being in Chicago with the White Sox, even in Philly. So as I said, it's kind of hard to choose, but like as far as like loyal fans and really knowing that they were there for me from day one, Pittsburgh has always, shown me love.
What's your favorite jersey and hat that you got to wear?
Man, they all hold their own, but I would definitely say Pittsburgh won because I said 2 All-Star appearances there. My only playoff appearances were there. And my family got to experience a lot more when I was in Pittsburgh because it was close to home. We got to play the Reds a lot. It was literally my home away from home. So they hold a lot of my memories. Not that the other places don't, but a lot of my memories kind of came from there because we were in the same division. So it was always being home, whether I was in Pittsburgh or coming here to play the Reds for 3 times out the year.
How's the atmosphere during that playoff game in Pittsburgh?
Oh man, it was crazy. I tell people, I still get chills thinking about that night because I was in the dugout and you couldn't even hear the ball off the bat. Like that's how loud it was. And there was a beat reporter like after the game and came up to me and was like, man, I have covered, Super Bowls. He's like, man, this is louder than any Super Bowl I've ever been in. And I said, well, it was 20 years of straight, 20 years of a losing season. I said that was 20 years of built up rage. Like, at some point it had to come out. And, like to be there to experience that, man, it was, I think anybody that was there to experience that could say that it was something that they'll forever remember.
Do you still go to some games?
To be honest, no, I have not been back to many games outside of going to my alma mater, college UC. I've been daddy mode. The games I've been going to is volleyball, basketball, dance competitions. Those are the games I'm into now.
After dealing with injuries like breaking your hand and adjusting your swing, how did those challenges change your approach both mentally and physically?
Man, they changed both. Mentioning breaking hands, I broke my hand twice in a matter of 7 months. 96 miles an hour twice on the 5th metacarpal. So mentally, yeah, you got to get back in there mentally because if you're not mentally right, you're always going to be worrying about if I'm gonna get hit again. And unfortunately, my career I got hit a lot, so it was something I had to overcome mentally, but physically too. Because baseball's a hand-eye coordination sport. Not only at the plate but in the field. I use my hands to catch. I use my hands to field the ball, throw. So when you're talking my career and what's gotten me to the point of being able to do what I was able to do. My hands were a major part of it. So mentally, I had to get over the, hey, 96, 97. Of course, they know you got a hand injury. They're going to continue to go at your hand. But also, I had to physically make adjustments to say, okay, I have to wear a hand mitt to protect my hand when I hit now. So I went from wearing no protection to wearing elbow guard, hand guard, because I got hit so many times that, okay, for me to be mentally prepared, I got to take care of myself physically too. So it was just as much physically. I felt like I was going up there as a catcher most of the time with all the gear I had on. But, it's one of those things where, as you said, having two broken hands, I got to protect myself. I didn't feel like it made me not do my job. It just made me have to do my job a little different.
You think the pitchers are just scared to face you?
Oh, for sure. I mean, you let it. I mean, they'll never tell you that, but I'll tell you, they were definitely scared. That's the way I saw it. Is, hey, if you can't get them out, hit them. And I'm like, you know what? I'd much rather you get me out than hit me, because breaking bones hurt.
Yeah.
And then, is there someone that helped you through this?
Through like my injuries,
Yeah.
Honestly, training staffs go a long way, because they're the ones that give you the protocol to make sure you stand on top of your treatment, your therapy. But realistically, family, man, because when you're rehabbing and you can't play, what do you have to keep you sane? Like, oh, the one thing that you want to do when you're healthy to go play the game, is like, oh, I can't play. My family was able to help me, get me through those times, being around my wife, my kids, my brothers, my teammates. I'm still around the game, but just being able to be present in other ways, to where I might not be able to play, but I might be able to tell my teammate, hey, I think, I think if you sit down on that, you might feel that better, or, different ways to be a part of the game. Definitely kept you a part of it, because if you can't play, you better find a way to keep yourself sane.
What advice would you give young athletes, to help them get to the next level?
The advice I would give, honestly, is first things first is have fun. Two, believe in yourself. And I even wrote, towards the end of my like retirement letter to the public, saying that I never sought out to, prove people wrong, only to prove myself right. And a lot of that came from my self-belief, my self-confidence, but also not focusing on what other people were doing, especially in today's society. You got social media, you got a lot of things to show what other people are doing. And it's like very easy to fall in the trap of, oh man, this person just signed here, this person's doing that. I'm not doing, what am I doing? And it's like, everybody opportunity is gonna be different. The day that I graduated high school is the same day that I signed my national letter of intent to go to UC to play baseball. I had no Division I offers going into my last month of high school. So when I say, keep your blinders on, stay focused, your path is your path. That's not to say that it might not be similar to somebody else's, but if you put the work in and focus on you, you'll get what you deserve. And also, don't let anybody else's expectations, place limitations on your full potential. Because a lot of times, you try to live up to other people's expectations, and sometimes not realizing those people's expectations might not even be your full limit, your full potential.
In 2014, you had an incredible season and became an All-Star. What clicked for you that year?
Honestly, getting a chance to play. I've been a starter my whole life growing up, going through college, pro ball, and I made my debut in 2011, as we said, but I didn't get my first opportunity to play every day until like May of 2014. So I can remember my first start in 2014 came Easter Sunday. We're playing the Brewers. We had a bench clearing brawl on Easter Sunday. And I can vividly remember it's my first start. I remember I had 2 hits that day, but I think my first at bat, I hit a double. Like, the bench is clearing and, tempers is flaring, and, 9 times out of 10, nothing's going to happen. But in my mind, I'm like, hey man, let's keep this game going. It's my first start. I just got a knock. Like,
Yeah.
Hey, I get it. Temperature's flaring. We all good now. I'm trying to get back in the flow. But I remember I got 2 hits that game and didn't start the next day. I don't think I got another start for maybe another week. And I remember calling my older brother Vince, talking to my uncle. He's at the time coaching the Brewers. And I'm reaching out to them. I'm like, oh, like it's tough. It's frustrating. I'm ready. I want to play, but like, what do I have to do? As I said, my uncle played 11 years, coached for 40. He's the outfield coach for the Brewers at this time. He's like, stay ready. Don't give him any reason to say that you're not prepared or you're not ready, because as long as you're working, he said, you're a Pirate. Not to say it, but there's 29 other teams out there. Not to say that you want to get traded, but you're in the big leagues. Meaning, if you're not starting, you one play away from being in there. Somebody being hurt, somebody getting ejected, whatever the case may be, somebody not playing well. But it's like, you're there, so stay ready. And talking to my brother Vince, he's like, man, I just got a funny feeling that we're gonna be laughing, at the end of the season. Like, man, stay ready, keep doing what you're supposed to. And I got my opportunity to play every day coming in May. And I remember All-Star selection. I remember calling my brother Vince. Like, he's in, at the time, let me think, he might be, at the time, I can't remember if he's in Oregon or if he's in like Tennessee, but he's coaching somewhere with the Diamondbacks, to where, he's coaching in the minor leagues. And I go, bro, we don't even have to wait till the end of the season to laugh. And he's like, what you mean? It's like, man, I just got named to the All-Star team. Like, and he's like, oh, what? It was just one of those things where, as I said, what clicked for me was, one, getting an opportunity to play, but also, having my uncle who coached and played, having my brother, telling me like, nah, stay ready. Like, when your time comes, when that opportunity comes, just be ready for it. And as I said, I was ready. Easter Sunday, I got my 2 knocks, but they said, what, your time ain't yet. But I say that to, once again, just piggyback off of my advice to, younger generations, be ready. You don't know when your opportunity is gonna come, but when that opportunity comes, make sure you're ready.
Winning that Heart and Hustle Award means a lot. What drives your passion for the game? How'd you win that?
Honestly, that's one of my favorite awards. Because I mean, the award itself speaks for itself. Heart and Hustle. That's what I played with. I mean, a lot of people's, oh man, you play so hard. I said, man, I love what I do. I enjoy it. One, I'm blessed. I'm gifted to play the game with the skill set that I have. I'm not gonna take it for granted. If I'm out here and I can play, I'm gonna play. And if I'm gonna play, I'm gonna play hard. And it was cool to be recognized from Major League Baseball as, the Heart and Hustle winner, throughout the whole game, throughout the whole season. Because every time I went out there and put on the uniform, I definitely played with everything that I had.
How did you approach being such a versatile player, switching between infield and outfield, sometimes even mid-game?
Started at UC my freshman year, but growing up, I played football, basketball, and baseball. So there comes the versatility, playing 3 sports, being able to bounce around, but just being able to be adaptable. I remember my freshman year at UC, I came in as a shortstop. I was starting at shortstop, and one thing happened like our 3rd week of the season where both of our backup catchers had just got labrum surgery. Like our catch, so we down to 1 catcher at this point. I think we got some injuries. I'm playing left field, right field. I done played third base, and our catcher takes a foul ball that misses his cup, if you can imagine what I'm saying. 3rd inning, I'm playing shortstop. We're all out there like, dang, that sucks. And we're all like, man, and sure enough, hey, Harrison, they called me in off a shortstop. I'm like, what's up? We need you to put the gear on. What? We need you to put the gear on. Never caught a day in my life. I caught 2.5 games at UC my freshman year.
Wow.
Threw 3 dudes out too. But I mean, it was just a matter of, one, I could bounce around. It wasn't a matter of, trust me, if they would have asked me, I would not have. I literally was like, no, I don't want to catch. Like that wasn't me being a team player. Like, oh yeah, throw me back there. Like, no, that was them saying we need you to catch, and me saying I've never caught a day in my life. And they're like, I know, but there is literally nobody else. And I'm like, you do know every time they swing, I blink. Like literally, I'm back there. I can't make this up. Every time the ball was coming and I'm catching, like I'm blinking every time, because I'm like, bro, I'm not used to this. I'm used to the ball being hit. Like, because the very first pitch that I caught back there, foul ball off of my shoulder.
Wow.
And I'm like, I couldn't throw the next 3 balls back to the pitcher, and I'm like, this sucks. Like, Like, no, I would never catch again. Everybody's like, man, that's the only position you didn't play in the big leagues. I said, it was a reason.
Yeah.
And if they ever put me back there, I would have went back there for one batter and did a pitch out just to say I did it, and then took the gear off.
Have you ever pitched?
Yeah, I pitched too many times in the big leagues. Yeah, I think I got 1 or 2 strikeouts.
How fast were you throwing?
I don't think I was throwing fast enough to register on the. I don't seriously. It might have been 60 miles an hour. I was just lobbing it.
And then, what was your favorite position?
Man, I played a lot of them, but probably second base.
Not catcher.
Nah, you got jokes.
Your favorite ballpark to play in?
So I always ask this question when people ask me that. When you say favorite ballpark, what do you mean? You mean like as far as fans, atmosphere, stadium, like surface? There's different things about. All right. Well, one of my favorite then we're gonna go with Wrigley. Daytime.
Oh, Wrigley's so nice.
Day games at Wrigley. I call it Club Wrigley. The fans there, they ready to talk trash at 9:30 a.m. You know, we getting off the bus at the same place, you know, right outside the stadium where fans are lined up, the service workers lined up. So you out there at 9:30 a.m., some of them already probably, you know, 6 packs of beer deep, and they giving it to you at 9:30 during BP, and it's like, oh yeah, today gonna be lit. So going in there on day games was always fun, just because you know the energy. If you was tired, it don't matter if you're tired, you're gonna wake up because the fans, Club Wrigley, that's what I call it. Everybody can do night games, but day games, Club Wrigley.
What about the view in PNC Park?
Second to none. I got to, you know, play there for 7, 8 years. Now that for sure is gonna be on the top of the list because there's not many backdrops that you're gonna find like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's me being biased playing there, but like as far as the whole stadium and the backdrop, like that, there's not gonna be many places that you're gonna be able to get a backdrop and like a feel like that. As I said, I don't know if that's biased from playing there, but definitely one of my favorite places to play just because like everything about it is dope.
Are there any stadiums you didn't like to play in?
And I wouldn't say necessarily say didn't like to play in. If I didn't like to play there, it was because the surface was bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like as far as fans and stuff, I enjoyed fans, even if they was ruthless. Only places that I didn't care to play at was if the surface was bad. And realistically, Turner Field was bad, but that was also towards the end before they went to, you know, I think it's Truist Park now. I know these parks changed names so much.
Yeah.
But like Turner Field had like towards the end, it was very choppy. They didn't keep up with it because they knew they were getting a new stadium. Which at the same time too, I mean, you got to imagine how old Turner Stadium was with a lot of, you know, traffic and trying to keep things together. Oakland wasn't the greatest, but it had character. You know, it was also a football field. So like as I said, it's not like the places I didn't like to play. I like playing at all the places. Just you knew some places was, hey, this is a better surface than that one where, you know, Wrigley wasn't always the greatest surface. When I first started playing at Wrigley, Wrigley was bumpy. I rolled my ankle in the outfield chasing, you know, a pop-up out there one time just because it was uneven. And that's no knock to Wrigley. That's just some fields got more wear and tear. But my dislike came from if it was a bad surface, mainly infield.
So, who inspired you the most growing up, whether it was family member, coach, or a big league player?
Man, my family, my parents, one. Just having 3 sons and how they were able to manage working full-time jobs and, you know, to do what they did for all 3 of us, you know, not only just with sports, but just the support of, you know, having your parents to, you know, show you what's right, what's wrong, but even when you're wrong, still be there to support you. I think that speaks volumes because as kids, you know, you're gonna go through life and you're gonna make mistakes. But to have your parents know that they got your back. But then also my role models, as I said, I had 2 older brothers that, you know, all world athletes. I'm the youngest of 3. I'm showing up at home answering phone calls. This is before y'all know where you got to answer the landline. I'm talking for both of my brothers. Any and every college in the United States was calling for football, for baseball. Hello, this is a message for Vince Harrison. This is University of Miami. This is University of Southern Cal. I'm calling for Sean Harrison. This University of Michigan. Oh, can I take a message? like I had two brothers that were world athletes that I'm like, so I was just the beneficiary, being the youngest of three that was literally that annoying little brother that was able to ride their coattails.
Mm-hmm. Going back to baseball, what was it like hitting your first career home run? Crack of the bat?
So it's funny you asked that because we lost the game. We were gonna lose the game because I think it was like 7-1 when I hit it. Mm-hmm. We're playing the Brewers. My uncle was coaching the Brewers at the time, and he was up in the booth. And my uncle said I hit the home run. He said he stood up, clapped like up, and he's in the press box with the Milwaukee Brewers front office staff and everything. You know, I hit the home run. He's like, and he sits down. He goes, "Man, that's my nephew, and we're gonna win the game anyway." You know, but I remember when I hit it, man, I had already hit some balls in PNC Park when I first came up that didn't go out. So when I hit it, I wasn't sure if it was going out because PNC is a big part to left field, like left center. So I just remember I hit it and it was in a losing effort. So like it was cool to hit the home run, but I just remember being like, dang, I finally got one. Like, man, that's far out there.
Do you remember who the pitcher was?
Marco Estrada.
And then who was one of the hardest pitchers you pitched against or hit against?
Nobody.
Oh, is he?
Well, now that I don't give credit to pitchers. That's no diss pitchers or knock the pitchers. Just the way that I was mentally was the pitcher had nothing for me. I don't care who the pitcher was. The pitcher sucks. Granted, now once we became teammates, you don't suck. You're my teammate. Like I can never say my teammates suck. But no, long story short, I remember when I signed with the Nationals, I go up to Max Scherzer. Ooh. And I think against Max, I'm like 0 for 10 with like 6 strikeouts. But the games that I played against Max, he dealt against us. One game was one batter away from a perfect game. The other 2 was like 15 strikeouts plus. But I remember I go up to him, I'm like, hey, now that we teammates, you ain't garbage no more. You all right. And like he stopped and he laughed. He was like, huh? I said, yeah, now that we teammates, you ain't garbage no more. You good. But I was like, no, that's just how I was. If I've never worn the same uniform as you, I'm not going to give you that credit to say you're good. Because, you know, baseball is a game where I got to get you. I don't want to give any credit because, I mean, you know, if I give any credit, I'm almost telling myself that you're better than me. So that's kind of where that was. But, you know, I would say Max was one of my tougher competitors.
Mm-hmm. What about the knuckleballers?
So I only faced R.A. Dickey. I don't think I faced any more knuckleballers. And I had very good success against R.A. Dickey. I don't think I struck out against him until our last time facing each other. And I think that's when he won a Cy Young and he got his 20th win against us. And that knuckleball was doing some dance revolution moves I ain't did before. I was.
What was your true welcome to the big league moment?
Man, that's a good question. I think my true welcome to the big league moment was, you know, I was always like, I'm going to stay in my lane. I'm sitting where I sit on the plane, you know, because, you know, I've seen guys come up and, you know, get a little comfortable and, oh, Dom, Jay, how many years you got? Oh, I just got caught up. Hey, can y'all believe Dom and Jay just got caught up and y'all see them? They the first ones in line to get food. Like, you know, they would crack jokes on certain things. So, you know, me, I'm observing. I'm the youngest of 3. I ain't stepping out of line. You know, I ain't gonna be the first one to grab food. But you know, if I'm gonna wait my turn. Even on the plane, I'm not gonna go to the back of the plane. I'm gonna see where everybody's sitting. And I remember my first welcome was like, you know, I'm chilling. I'm sitting in my row. I always sat with my headphones. And AJ Burnett would always mess with people. And him and Clint Barmas and like what they call on the bus, if you sat in the back, the rookies, they called that the cheap seats. Cheap seats, y'all better not be talking. But like on the plane, you sitting up in the front because it's like the back of the plane is going to be kind of the vents where they're going to chill. Like that's just how it was for us. It's like, hey, if you got to use the bathroom, they would joke with guys like, man, you walk to the back. No, your bathroom up front. But I can remember AJ one day goes, if you want to be a dog and you want to be a part of this team, come to the back of the plane. And, you know, most guys probably thought that was a joke. Me, I'm like, I'm going to take him up on his offer. He just invited me back to the plane. And I'm like, hey, here goes nothing. Usually I'm sitting in my seat with my headphones on. I walk right out there, he's about, that's what I'm talking about, Jay. Hey, yeah, here, sit with me. And ever since then, I'm like, all right, cool, yeah. But it's like, but AJ and Clint Barmers, they might, mess with some of the younger guys, but it was always in fun to get you to, bro, relax. Like, that don't mean we ain't gonna crack jokes with you, but it was like, come back here. I went back there. I was like, yeah, we back here with the big dogs. Like, you want to be a big leaguer? Come back here. But it was like, hey, I'm gonna stay in my lane until I get that invitation. And once I got it, ever since then, there were times that I didn't even realize that those dudes had my back just off of, I played my role, I played my position, but they knew I was a confident dude that, I was going to give it to them. Hey, I got y'all back. I got it. But, that was my welcome to the big league moment. Cause as I said, I didn't come in, I wasn't in big league camp. So even coming into spring training every year, I had to make the team out of camp. So I'm like, shoot, I'm gonna be me. I'm fun. I'm having my energy and stuff. But like, shoot, I'm gonna stay to myself. Like, hey, I'm doing what I got to do. But hey, as soon as I get that invitation, I'm gonna be the first one smoking. Like, yeah, that's where I need to be. What we need to do. All right. That's awesome. Oh, y'all need a beer? All right, I got you. Yeah, grab yourself one in the meantime, Jay. All right, cool. I don't even drink beer, but I'm gonna drink one with y'all.
That's awesome. All right. So, did you have a favorite pregame meal or ritual?
So, I'm a very picky eater. So I wouldn't say pregame meal, and I'm not a superstitious person. So like I'm not one that has to eat this or put my right sock on. But it was very hard for me to eat like when I played. So like if I got to the field, most of my eating would be done like maybe lunch. So if I got to the field at 1:30, that's gonna be my meal. Because typically, we go into BP, ground balls, everything. And if the game's at 7, by the time 6 hits, 6:15, where most people are, oh yeah, I need to eat again. My stomach, I couldn't hold food. Like I just was never hungry. So if I had a pregame meal more times than not, I would have like our chef, everything that I was on, I would have them make me a smoothie. So my smoothie would be pretty much any fruit except for banana. Like I don't like banana. But I'd have them put like maybe some peanut butter or something that'll kind of stick them on something with some protein. But then I would also drink like coffee with like coconut oil for like my energy. That was pretty much my pregame. And sometimes if I did want to eat an actual, it would be like a toasted peanut butter and honey sandwich.
Did you know anyone on your team that had any like weird superstitions?
I can't think of any off the top of my head that I'm like, dang, that's a wild superstition. But like, I mean, you got guys that are like, no, I have to wear my pants down. I have to, wear, and I'm like, well, I get it. But like nothing that would be like, oh no, this dude said he got to rub his chicken foot or something. Like, nah, I ain't played with no dudes that had no like weird, like, yeah, man, he carried a rabbit foot in his back pocket. I don't know what that's for. Like nothing like that. But some some guys might have like some on deck stuff that they feel like they got to do. But like, some dudes, if they had a good game, they would try to do the same thing the day before. Hey man, I had 2 bowls of cereal, so I'm awake, and I'm like, bro, that ain't got nothing to do with why you got them 2 hits today. You might eat your 2 bowls of cereal and come back tomorrow and they throw you nothing but sliders. You might not get the same pitch. But at the same time, whatever works for you, I'm not gonna knock, because a lot of it is in your mind. And if that's what gets you going, that's what gets you going.
Did you hit any seeds in the dugout?
So if I was doing seeds, I would typically be doing seeds sometimes during BP. Like I very rarely played with seeds, just because they get salty. Like if you ever saw me with anything, I might be chewing a piece of gum. But like if I was chewing a piece of gum, it was honestly only might have been when I was hitting or something. More times than not, I wouldn't be out in the field, like with gum or seeds, just because out there, you don't know how long you're gonna be out there. And a lot of times in between hitting, you done gone in and grab your quick drink. And sometimes chewing gum honestly relaxes you. So sometimes I would chew it while I was hitting just for me to relax. But like playing with seeds, I used to play with seeds growing up. I used to be in the back pocket, but after a while, it's like, man, I don't want my butt sweat on the seeds and stuff like, So, you might go in between and dump a little while you sitting on the bench watching your boy eat, but or hit. But for the most part, it'd be chewing gum. But I actually like pumpkin seeds. I would be eating more pumpkin seeds than the sunflower seeds.
Mm-hmm. What was the toughest city to play in?
Toughest? Did you say city or state?
Or city.
City. And do you mean
like meanest crowd?
I mean, a lot of people would say Philly. Mm-hmm. But I mean, to me, I embraced fans everywhere I went, whether they liked me or not. Visiting player, home player. Because I can remember being, a visiting player with the Nationals playing the Phillies, and fans is trying to wear me out on left field, talking trash, and I talk trash back. I'm laughing, and oh, Harrison, you suck, yada yada. And I played with the Phillies a few years later. Probably some of the same people. Hey, let's go here, like you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, Philly fans, can get a rep for being, I think any fan base is going to have some people that are going to wear their, what you would say, emotions on their sleeve, where they're going to let players have it. Just, hey, as a player, you got to have thick skin. You got to understand that it comes with the territory.
What about the Yankees?
Some of it's not warranted. I'll be honest. It's not always warranted. Like, you can deal with people saying you suck this or that, but when people start to get overboard and, death threats or, that's where it gets a little crazy. But I mean, same thing with the Yankees. I've been booed at Yankee Stadium. I've been cussed out in left field for making diving plays, or, I told you, I played a game. I'll catch the third out and go to the crowd and wave and say, who wants it? And fake the throw and run back to my dugout. And, for the rest of I did that in San Francisco. And for the rest of the series, every time my name got announced, the whole stadium booed me. And it was only for my interaction with left field. But, it's like, I don't mind playing the game, because at the same time, I like to have fun. If I can have fun out here, I want the fans to have fun. If they talking trash, hey, my family, we grow up talking trash. You better be ready to come back with something, because I'm coming back with one and maybe another. But, that's why I said it didn't really bother me, because for where most people get upset with fans, I talk back to fans, like, not in a bad way, but like if they, talk trash, hey, you ain't telling me nothing I ain't never heard before, Mm-hmm. So I was able to crack a joke back at them to where they'd be like, you know what, Harrison, I like you, just because, hey, failure a part of the game. Trust me, it ain't nothing you can say about me sucking or being a terrible baseball player that I haven't heard from another fan base, So that to me wasn't. You can tell me I suck now. If you're trying to throw a battery or something at me, that's different. All right, you a bad fan base, But I never ran into anything where a drink tried to get poured on me or nothing. So it's like, for what it's worth, all fan base is going to be loyal to their team. So I never felt anything where somebody said something rude or anything to me. Mm-hmm. Not to say that my teammates haven't, but as I said, all of that is also in retrospect to how you interact with people. And sometimes fans forget that players that are down there in uniforms are human beings. And sometimes you cross that line of talking about somebody's parent or, kid or significant other, that's different. That's a, security, get them out of here. That's where you'll see, hey, so-and-so, and you'll see why that person they threaten their wife or threaten her, it ain't no place for that type stuff. But 9 times out of 10, they just telling you garbage.
Mm-hmm. If baseball wasn't your career, what do you think you'd be doing?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. I've always said I was going to play baseball. And I said if I wasn't going to be playing baseball, I went to school for marketing and management. Mm-hmm. So probably something within marketing, but I'd be lying if I said I'd probably be doing something in sports, whether it was coaching or something. Mm-hmm. Especially having, my 2 daughters, they're involved in a lot. So, I mean, I'm even coaching them in some of the stuff they do. So I'd probably be doing something sports-based, whether it was coaching, helping the youth, marketing for some team or some, who knows. But, thank God I didn't have to worry about that, saw fit for me to, continue to pursue my dreams and, fulfill that. But, also as I've grown and been through things, I think I could act. I don't know about on the big scale, but give me some little local commercials. If you need me on a UDF commercial, some them local.
No Broadway?
Nah. You got to have a singing voice for that. Mine only work in the shower.
There a behind the scenes moment, maybe like a team meeting, travel story, or locker room memory that fans didn't know about, but you'll never forget?
Man, there's a lot. I'm trying to think of maybe just one that I could say, like, so I mean, there's so much more to things, sports than just sports. And honestly, one of the biggest things that I can remember was just how teams and how guys rally around, teammates or somebody that might be going through something personally. And I can remember, granted, it was actually public knowledge, but Jameson Tyone, when I was there, had testicular cancer. And I remember that was one of the things where, everybody forgot about baseball and was like, the fans were behind them, but at the same time, it brung something to light to where it's like, we always do the thing at the, seventh inning stand up to cancer. Everybody's got somebody that's been affected. Like everybody knows somebody, but to have somebody that young and to be playing with them and then be like, oh man, this is a teammate of mine that, pursuing the same thing as me. Like this is bigger than baseball, having meetings behind the scenes, but then see how the team, see how the fans and even baseball rally behind them. It was cool. I think those are moments that, as I said, when fans are talking trash to people, the human side of the player tends to be forgotten. I think that's one of those moments where, you see Tommy John, not that you don't feel remorse for guys that are dealing with Tommy John and stuff like that, physical injuries, but, seeing stuff like that where, coming cancer survivors, there've been plenty of baseball cancer survivors. I think those are the stories that people kind of hold on to because I got to play with Liam Hendricks too, with the White Sox. And I remember when he got the diagnosis and just to have those meetings behind closed doors and see how people rally and forget about the baseball side of it because that's always going to be there. But, at the end of the day, making sure that everybody's well-being and is good. And I think that's one of the things that people tend to forget about when you deal with, sports, because I get it. It's on a global scheme. You get to see it on TV and it's like, oh, this is sports. But, anytime you get a chance to take a step back and realize the human side, those are moments that you'll never forget.
I have one last question, and then I think that'll be this episode. So MLB players, once they reach like amount of years playing, they get a gold card once they're retired. You know about that?
A lifetime pass.
Yeah. Are you gonna go to a bunch of games with that?
I mean, I don't know if I'll go to a bunch of games, but if I decide to pop up on one, I will use it. I mean, I do have it.
Mhm.
It is a gold card. It says lifetime pass. And you're probably asking because I know it just got really kind of notified because Jason Grilly just got news from, I think he pulled up to see Paul Skeens throw. And Jason Grilly, grilled cheese, one of my teammates, that's my boy. But no, if I'll use it at some point. But honestly, I haven't had to, because if I ever needed to go to a game, hey, bro, can you leave me a ticket? I still got, Kutch, if I wanted to go see him play, leave me a ticket. But at the same time, the game comes full circle. It's a lot of coaches that I've probably played with or played against that, are guys that are former teammates of mine that are, if I wanted to. But, at the same time, the gold pass is also a testament of, being able to do what I did for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Josh, we can't thank you enough, not just for your time today, but for the way you've carried yourself throughout your career. You've been a fan favorite for a reason, and it's clear that your impact goes well beyond the box score. Whether it's another chapter in the game or something brand new, we're all excited to see what's next for you. To everyone listening, thank you for rocking with us. Make sure to subscribe, share the show, and stay tapped in. We've got more stories, more insight, and more passion from the world of sports coming your way. Until next time, keep showing love, keep working hard, and as always, stay average.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.